Thank you, John, and it's great to follow Woody Hoburg. That's awesome. So good evening. It's my great honor to be here tonight to introduce the winner of the National Space Trophy. Being here tonight is like coming home. As I arrived into Houston, I was flooded with memories of being a 21-year-old engineer starting their first job. And so many of the people I work with and for are here in the audience tonight. Launching America's astronauts to space is an honor that had been entrusted to a small number of companies. These were big companies with recognizable names that have been around for decades. The thought that a young startup, an outsider, could shatter the status quo and help America regain its leadership in human spaceflight, well, that just didn't seem possible to me. Gwynne Shotwell and her team at SpaceX did just that. One of her colleagues shared this anecdote with me. Quote, it takes a special person to connect the vision, the engineering, and the money in the right way. Gwynne is that person. Thank goodness Gwynne chose aerospace over the automotive industry, where she began her career. Had Gwynne stayed at Chrysler, we'd likely have arrived here tonight in autonomous flying cars. But I, for one, am very happy with the way things turned out. Gwynne and I go way back. We met for the first time 20 plus years ago when she was at Microcosm and I was at Kistler Aerospace, working on flying technology experiments on the K-1 reusable launch vehicle as part of NASA's Space Launch Initiative program. We also served on the board of the Commercial Spaceflight Federation, where we worked together to promote the industry, inspire young people, and preserve U.S. leadership in space. I visited Gwynne at SpaceX years ago, and she talked about building a strong aerospace industrial base and nurturing the talent in the industry overall. I can't think of anyone who has accomplished more to that end than Gwynne. SpaceX has inspired a new generation of young people to join the industry. In August of 2020, I texted Gwynne, congratulating her on a particularly busy week. It was Friday, August 7th, and I said, crew landing on Sunday, Starship demo flight on Tuesday, and Falcon 9 Starlink launch on Thursday. What are you going to do today? Her response was quick. We are taking the day off, literally, company holiday. I was impressed that she acknowledged the hard work of her nearly 10,000 person workforce with the company holiday. That ability to know when you're pushing your workforce just enough, but not too hard, is a characteristic of great leadership. SpaceX is making space access routine and has led the explosive growth of the industry over the past 5 years. We don't usually use that word, explosive, in the space industry. But Gwynne and her team have the courage, confidence, and conviction to fail fast. And they know that while in a development program, failure is the faster path to progress. Time and again, aspiring engineers tell me that the Falcon Heavy demo flight in February of 2018 was the event that ignited their passion for space. The webcast for this launch was the second biggest live stream event ever watched on YouTube. More than 2 million concurrent viewers and more than 31 views to date. I rewatched the webcast last Sunday as I was preparing for this speech, and it just gave me goosebumps. So hearing John Innsbrucker announce fairing separation, and then seeing Starman appear in the Tesla Roadster with Earth in the backdrop, seeing the words "Don't panic" on the Tesla's touchscreen, and then the amazing double booster landing at Cape Canaveral, all that to a soundtrack of cheering, screaming SpaceX employees. It's no wonder that so many people were positively affected by that event, and they're joining the industry today. That wasn't that long ago, just 5 years, but in SpaceX time, it was an eternity. Since then, SpaceX has launched 34 astronauts to space, a series of 9 Starship test flights, 31 Falcon 9 launches in 2021, 61 Falcon 9 launches in 2022, more than 1,700 Starlink satellites launched to space, and then last week's spectacular Starship launch attempt. There's way more to come, so let's keep watching. I did some research, and I want to share a few anecdotes I've learned about Gwynne. One person shared a phrase that the two of them frequently use: "You are right, and I am the other thing." It's a phrase that allows you to enjoy the moment of being right without demoting the other person, and I think it's really great. I think this is a super important consideration, especially when you're right a lot. Another anecdote in Eric Berger's great book, Liftoff, he writes about Gwyn being in Scotland for the first successful launch of Falcon 1. And since then, on every launch day, she puts tape in her shoes that has the word Scotland on it. She calls this her launch juju. This story was confirmed by a customer, partner, and friend of hers, so I know it's true. And with launches now happening so frequently, I suspect she has tape in all of her shoes that say Scotland. Probably right now, so Gwen, you tell us. One person described Gwyn as incredibly compelling in her ability to sell the company in a genuine, enthusiastic manner. Another felt seen, motivated, and inspired after telling Gwyn of their decision to leave the company to go pursue an advanced degree. Another joined SpaceX from a 30-person startup and expected the pace at SpaceX, a 10,000-person company at the time, to be slower than their small, nimble startup. They were amazed to find that SpaceX is way faster in its decision-making and rate of execution than they'd ever seen before. One colleague shared that Gwyn drives her red Tesla Model S like a bat out of hell. She has license plates that have a version of the words "Rocket Ma'am," and the way she gets to work was a lot like the way she carries herself at the office, always moving fast, never letting moments pass without moving the ball forward. She always did it with grace and humanity, but always at an amazing pace. When asked to describe Gwyn in 3 words, people responded with words like bold, passionate, funny, fierce, inspiring, and tenacious. 2 people responded that she'd prefer to be described in 2 words, badass. I know that Gwyn is going to come on stage and she'll say all the right things. She'll thank Elon Musk. She'll give credit to her team. That's nice and that's humble, but let's be honest. Gwyn Shotwell is one of the most outstanding leaders of our industry and arguably of our generation. She deserves every accolade, and I'm super honored to be here for this moment. We are pleased to present the National Space Trophy to Gwyn Shotwell.
It's actually kind of hard to get me emotional. I feel like I have 12 inches of very thick skin on my back, and it's much easier to do these incredibly hard things when you focus on the work and not focus on all of this. But yeah, I'm in near tears now, and this is pretty unusual. So thank you so much for the acknowledgement. And Rob, damn it, of course I'm going to thank Elon. And of course, I'm going to thank the nearly 13,000 extraordinary SpaceXers. I've got a table back there. They're unusually quiet. Usually the SpaceXers are the very rowdy people starting the food fights, and they've been very well behaved, so I appreciate that. You can start that when I'm done. Yeah, so thank you so much. This room is incredible, fun and warm and loving and extraordinary. So I'm so pleased to be a part of it, actually. Thanks to Rotary, thanks to our NASA Foundation. Thank you for voting for us. Rob, there. That was, thank you so much for your investment of time in the package that the foundation so graciously accepted. But honestly, that speech was really great. So would you send me a copy of it so I can quote it? And finally, thank you for not referring to this award as the Extreme Late Career Award. So before I get to a couple more thank you, or before I get to the primary thank you, I have to thank and recognize my family. My husband Robert is here with me tonight, which, I mean, I think everyone in the room knows that you can't do extraordinary work if your family doesn't give you the leeway to go do that. And Robert has been an extraordinary partner. We are workaholics together. I want to thank my children. They are extraordinary. They would come home from school and they'd, with their little backpacks, and they'd run up to their rooms and they'd do their homework without anybody screaming and yelling. And, you know, there was never any drama in our house, and I know that's very unusual. So I fully expect karma to circle, and that my grandchildren will drive my children crazy so that I get them. And they will live with me on my ranch, help me with my cows and my goats, help me make wine in my vineyard, and enjoy the life with Grammy and Grandpa. By the way, I have no grandchildren yet. It's my vision. My children are not participating in my vision, but hopefully they will shortly, because this is the Extreme Career Award, Extreme Late Career Award. But really, what I wanted to spend most of my time tonight talking about is our relationship with NASA. I know that our NASA does not stand for Rotary NASA, but I would not be up here if it were not for the extraordinary partnership that we have shared with NASA. And I say partnership because it's a funny relationship. We are partners in the COTS program. If you remember, in 2005, Dr. Mike Griffin and his team, really of extraordinary individuals at NASA, said, we're going to do this crazy public-private partnership thing. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's give it a shot, and let's see whether we can get a launcher and a capsule. Well, I don't want to say capsule, that was our answer, but a launcher and a vehicle to the International Space Station that can bring extremely important and critical science up and bring capability back as well. And so that vision, you know, started in 2005 and ended up with the COTS program, the Commercial Orbital Transportation Services. And that started this extraordinary partnership. And it is partnership because NASA paid, SpaceX paid with money, NASA paid with blood, sweat, and tears, SpaceX paid with blood, sweat, and tears. And there was a lot of sweat. I don't know about blood. I don't know if there's actually any blood. But there were a lot of tears. And I have Suf here and Kathy here and maybe Alan Lindenmoyer here and all the people that were participating, the NASA and the SpaceX team that were working together to do this extraordinary work. And I have to call out Rocket Plane Kistler as well. They were one of the initial winners, and then Northrop Grumman kind of came in and successfully got to station as well. But kind of back to the partnership with NASA. So we were partners in that. NASA is our largest customer as well, which we greatly appreciate. And actually, we are NASA's customer in a couple of areas as well, in some technology areas and some testing. So this relationship is really, it's really crazy, and it's really great. And I don't think if people would have looked back at 2004, 2005, and said that that could have happened. You know, we were so different, but we learned how to work together. And, you know, ended up doing this extraordinary work together. And Elon's been very public about it. I think I have too, that SpaceX would not be the company that we are today. Candidly, I'm not sure we would be a company today if it were not for NASA. So I want to thank the folks at NASA, and many of you here are with NASA, or certainly partners with NASA. So thank you so much for that. And I do want to point out a couple of kind of fun stories. It wasn't all fun. I mean, I thought it was fun, but that was a long time ago. Like, so you can forget, it's like childbirth. It was great, except no one thinks that in the moment. But we drove NASA crazy. I think we drive all our customers crazy, but we definitely drove NASA crazy. I'll never forget Alan and Suf and Kathy. Like, you're not going to change anything. Again, we're like, no, we're not going to change anything. And then the next day we went and changed stuff. And then 6 weeks, and we weren't doing it to be jerks or anything. We're just like, oh, we found this thing, and we got to go fix that thing. We couldn't possibly fly without fixing that thing, and that thing, and that thing, and that thing, and that thing. We are about 6 or 7 weeks away from the first COTS 1 flight. And we realized that there were so many software changes, you know, between the last time we had a more formal review and really pulled it together. It's like, wow, these are a lot of changes. And so we had to go through the software change set of meetings, which ended up being finals week. Actually, I refer to it as finals week. We started like 7 in the morning. We finished like at 11 at night, and Kathy and I were there for every discussion, going over every change, because like, we could launch a spacecraft, right? But you can't go berth with the International Space Station without everybody knowing everything about that. So that was, it seems like it was really fun. I don't know. Did you think it was fun? Maybe not then, but now, right? Kind of back to childbirth. Yeah. Yeah, so in the end, the partnership that we have shared with NASA through the joy and the tears has been extraordinary. I hope those of you that have worked with us agree with me, and those that don't yet haven't had the opportunity yet, I hope you get to, and we certainly look forward to that. I want to talk a little bit about the crew program as well. It was originally part of the COTS program, but we really only focused on cargo, and then the crew program came through in a different way. And, you know, we've had a lot of really extraordinary moments, but flying Bob and Doug in the middle of, well, actually not the middle, it was early, very early in the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. It was, it was May of 2020. And about 7 weeks prior to that liftoff, we were, as a company, about ready to get shut down. And the uncertainty around, in fact, some of my machine shops down in Orange County were getting shut down, and I'm on the phone, and, you know, folks at NASA were incredibly helpful getting us the letters we needed so that we could come into work and open the doors and not get arrested. I didn't want to be arrested. I know Elon threw himself out there on that, but I don't look good in orange. Certainly not horizontal stripes. Yeah, so NASA and the DoD actually pulled through and kept the company open during that really kind of horrifying couple of years for this country and, frankly, the globe. And I'm really proud that we were able to fly those extraordinary men to the International Space Station in that period of time. It was really helpful for the company to kind of rally around that launch and kind of forget about the chaos and the weirdness of the world in that time frame and focus on doing what I think we do best, and that is, you know, really hard things in partnership with NASA. So really proud of that. Proud that we've been able to fly so many more. We're definitely looking forward to Boeing flying as well. I think we found during the COTS program and the CRS follow-on opportunities that having two organizations that can serve the customer, first of all, is less stressful, and it's much better for the customer, and it's much better for the industry, and much better for the world, frankly. So we are definitely excited about Boeing getting to station with Crew. Yeah, Crew is amazing. I don't like Crew launch days, though. I like watching Crew launch videos, because you know it happens, you know it was good, but Crew launch days are quite stressful. I want to talk about another thing that we're doing at SpaceX called Starlink, Global Constellation of Broadband. I think Elon jokes about it as, you know, the addressable market for broadband is about $1 trillion a year. The addressable market for launch is like, I don't know, maybe $8 billion. And that Starlink was going to help us get to Mars. And there's no question that it looks like it's going to happen that way. But the other thing about Starlink is that And one of the extraordinary things actually about space is that a satellite in space is agnostic to really where you are on the ground. And so Starlink can serve customers that could never have broadband, could never have internet, could never have Wi-Fi. In January 2015, a volcano erupted in Tonga, and we got licensed and terminals there in less than a week, and people were connected and could chat with their families, and people knew that they were safe. Germany flooded horribly in 2021. Frankly, I think we're seeing a lot of that. And we got terminals there so that people could chat with their loved ones. I think it was also helpful on the, on the recovery effort as well. Communication is key, in times of in chaos. A Category 4 hurricane hit Louisiana in 2021, and we had Starlinks on the ground in less than 48 hours. Again, so emergency workers could communicate and people can communicate with their family. We're connecting people in rural Canada, Alaska, Australia. We've connected the heroes, the scientific heroes in McMurdo, Antarctica, finally have more than kilobit service. They can chat with their families on video. They can watch some videos. And so Starlink has really turned out to be, not only helpful financially for the company, but I think incredibly helpful for the world. And it's really nice for SpaceX and the team at SpaceX to have that connection with consumers. The rocket business is the rocket business, and we have extraordinary customers. We have NASA, we have DoD, and we have others. But that real connection to people has been extraordinarily helpful to the company, I think, to help us focus. And then finally, Starship. That magnificent vehicle. I was there. I wasn't meant to be there. I thought we'd go on Monday, and I wasn't down there, but I was down later in the week to kind of help out on base, and I got to see that magnificent machine fly. And it was critically important, obviously, because of our HLS program and NASA, to get that vehicle off the ground. I think the funniest tweet or story that I heard about that vehicle is someone did tweet and said, wow, they got to give those welders a raise. Because when Falcon 9 turns sideways, it blows up. Starship does not blow up when it turns sideways while it's under propulsion. So it is an extraordinary vehicle. And I'm sure we made some people nervous. But there is no question we needed to get that vehicle off the ground. It represented an extraordinary success for us. Frankly, we did not think we were going to get that far. I don't think we thought we would tear up the concrete under the pad as much as we did. But we definitely didn't think the rocket was going to go as far as it did. And I do think that we will look back on April 4th month, 20th, 2023, and realize that that was the moment that we knew that we could go live on other planets. Now, we all know we can go to the moon, right? We're going to the moon. We got Artemis, everybody in this room, we're going to the moon. But I think that was the day that we can look back and say, we can go past the moon. We can go to Mars. I don't want to go to Mars, but we could go to Mars. Hopefully, we'll go somewhere further at some point. And that's actually why I work at SpaceX. Because I want to be part of the group of folks that have worked enough, demonstrated enough that we can ultimately get people flying out amongst the stars. I won't, because I'm in the extreme whatever category. But maybe my great-grandchildren, again, need grandchildren first, then great-grandchildren. But hopefully we'll be out there doing it, and hopefully I was a small part of it. So thank you again to Rotary, our incredible customers, partners, NASA, my family, and the extraordinary people at SpaceX who continue to challenge me. And by the way, they do challenge me. They're very mouthy. It's great. You know where you are. And inspire me as we strive to do really hard work and ultimately go fly out amongst the stars. So thank you very much.
All right, where are we here? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time I would like to introduce Lieutenant General Thomas P. Stafford, who will make a special presentation on behalf of Omega Watch. General, come on up. Now, you may not know the General did 6 rendezvous in space. He just told me that. More than any other human. And I think on Apollo 10, he was telling me they were booking coming back. I mean, they were doing like Mach 36 is what he told me. I don't know if he's pulling my leg or not, but dude, come on up, General.
Thank you, John. Those were very kind words for just a gray-haired redneck space cowboy from western Oklahoma, I'll tell you. Thank you. And Ms. Shotwell, Gwen, congratulations on the award. Well deserved, and you have shown performance over many years in various aspects of the aerospace industry. And now we've had 6 successful launches there of the Falcon Dragon, and I wish you many, many more. And also the Omega Watch Corporation, who has helped sponsor this organization since it started, would like to present you with the type of watch that we started to wear in the late Mercury missions through Apollo, Skylab, Apollo Soyuz, and on in the shuttle until we finally replaced it with the electronic X-33. When I look at the one thing about it, it has a mission reliability of 1.0. The only thing you can do to screw it up is forget to wind it. So. I'd like to present her with the Omega Speedmaster Professional, and Gwen chose the ladies type, same that went to the moon, and it is really great. Kind of reminds me of the British poem, Ode to a Grecian Urn, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. And this is the way it looks, so. Troy?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, General.
Good luck.